Hi everyone, welcome back. This is Adobe Live, day 3 for a week dedicated to UI and UX design with Adobe XD. And I'm Michael, happy to host today. I'm replacing my friend Tallinn, who cannot make it today. But I'm super excited to discover the work of Christine. Hey, Christine.
Hello, nice to be here.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me again.
Yeah, thanks for coming back, and we will discover your project soon, but I see that there are first-timers. I see Nilton Andrade in the chat, first time watching Adobe Live. If it's the case, also let us know in the chat if it's your first time. And I see Arthur, Destiny. Okay, this is great. Thanks for watching. We will be live with Christine for 2 hours, and then we have 2 more guests, so 6 hours of live today with UI and UX designers. There will be some giveaways. Today we give away something super exciting, but I will show you what this is in a few minutes. And also we invite you to share a link to your portfolio. If you are a UI UX designer, you have your portfolio on Behance, check the tab. So we have the chat tab, info tab, and portfolio review tab, I guess, where you can submit the link to your portfolio. And at the end of the show, Christine, we will review together 2 portfolios.
Okay.
If that works for you.
Yeah, that sounds good. And submit your portfolios because the prize is really cool.
Uh-huh.
Oh, sorry.
I know, that's for the giveaway, actually.
Oh, the giveaway. The giveaway is
You want to
really
show the
cool.
prize? Okay, let's show the prize. So it doesn't come with the music, but if you open it, it does. And you have, how do you call it? You know better than me.
Stencils.
Stencils. So if you want to draw the Twitter icon, see, here we go, Twitter, Facebook, all the icons, and you have also a paper with a grid. I'm not sure you can see it, but yeah, it's a very cool kit to, I guess, to wireframes, but on paper.
Yeah.
And very limited edition. I think it's the first time we're giving away this kit to our friends in the chat. So stay tuned, we will give away this kit in about 30 minutes. So just keep watching and we'll explain how it works. But no, is it metal? Yeah, Destiny, this is metal, super cool. And with the Instagram icon, yes, Rick, we're doing our best. And yes, Karen, pretty sick. And everyone get a chance, you can get a chance to win it. So stay with us, just be active in the chat. We will explain how it works. But first, Christine, I would like you to recap, maybe explain what you have been working on during the first day and the second day, and what you will be doing today.
Okay. Yeah. So those of you who are joining us again, welcome back. I'll go over what we went. There we go.
There we go. So in Adobe XD.
Yeah, we're in Adobe XD, and basically what we're trying to do is we're trying to build an experience that allows people to discover the most popular beers from each country around the world. Okay. And we took a little pivot, but basically on day 1, we set up the core flow of creating that interactive browsing experience. So we have like a little map here. I'm sorry, there's some remnants of like some of my exploration, so ignore that for now. And then we explore like what the hover state looked like if you hover over a certain country, and then clicking into it, you might get like a beer detail page. So that's what we did on day 1.
So what are the details? You give the style of beer. Okay.
Style, ABV, which is like alcohol by volume to determine how strong it is. IBU is, I forget exactly what it stands for. I think it's like something bitterness. It basically tells you how bitter the beer is, and it's on a scale out of 100, I believe. And then we also have
International bitterness unit scale. Okay.
Yeah, remembered something.
So, but what is the scale?
It's out of
1 to 100. Okay, so it's 12. So it's not too bitter.
Not super bitter, yeah, and it's pretty light too. So that's what you would expect from a pale lager. And then we have some like detail about the beer itself. So maybe there's some interesting fact about Quilmes, or I don't know, like some kind of history that you might want to know about the beer. So that's what we did on day 1. On day 2,
they say, it's awesome you use the word globehopper. So is it something that comes from the chat?
Yes, somebody recommended it.
Wow, good job.
Chat.
That's so creative.
And Destiny, was that you? Do you remember who gave that
Was that
suggestion?
you, Destiny? Let us know, because she's so cool that you used that.
Yeah.
Do you remember in the chat?
I want to credit the person who suggested it, and I
Yeah,
the
we need
chat
to
was
give a
going so
shout out.
fast. So, yeah. So that's what we did on day 2, actually. I explored some like typographic elements on how we can lay out the logo.
Oh, I see.
And then Talin actually created this icon in XD, which is super neat. And so I just combined the two together to create this little
Destiny,
markup.
she said globehopper.
Oh, nice. Thank you, Destiny.
Good
We're
job.
using the name. So we just took a look at how that would look.
Okay.
And then we also started digging into like the country detail page, because one of the things we discovered was, maybe it's not super valuable to be able to see the most popular beers from each country, because something like that already exists out there today. So how can we add additional value that would make people want to use an experience like this?
Oh, I see. So what is the additional value? It's about the culture
Yeah.
of each country?
So about
Okay.
the drinking etiquette,
So you
local tips
picked,
about drinking in that culture.
South Korea, okay.
Yeah, so we created a page for South Korea that includes like handy phrases. So like how to order a beer, how to say cheers.
How do you say it?
Konbae.
Ganbei. Okay.
Konbae.
Ganbei.
And then we have some tips on drinking etiquette. So like in South Korea, you never refill your own glass. And then we have some local tips. And then we go into the beers afterwards. So that'll hook back into the beer detail pages.
Awesome.
Yeah. And then we also got some content from the chat for Peru. So we also did a page for Peru as well.
That's great.
So today what we'll do is we'll create an experience or a flow to allow users to submit nominations for their favorite beers or to share a tip about their local drinking culture.
Okay. So that
Yeah.
would be the experience, how they can like user-generated content or how they can contribute to
Exactly.
the platform. Okay.
Because there's so many great tips coming into
Yeah,
the
they're
chat
so good.
yesterday and couldn't keep up. So we wanted to include that as a part of this experience.
Okay, let's start. I like it.
Cool. So once again, if you're joining for the first time, you'll know that I always start with paper. So that's
Are you
what we'll go
right-handed
back
or
to.
left-handed?
I am right-handed.
Okay, so I remove the GoPro. Should be easier, no? We can. Yeah.
Is that?
Let's try that and see how it looks.
Yay.
Okay.
Cool. So, what we want to think about, there's a couple different ways that we can do this. Let's think about why people, or like what people would want to nominate. They want to nominate beers.
Okay.
Maybe they want to share tip about local etiquette, or just share a local tip in general. That's not
So a
specifically
local
related
tip,
to etiquette.
it's more like. So if I know that I will visit South Korea or Peru, then the experience will give me some tips to like not feel awkward, when I have a beer, or like what type of local tip? Is it more like to find a beer, or is it more to enjoy the experience?
I guess it's a little bit of both. So
Okay.
like how I'm thinking about it is etiquette is like, in Korea you never refill your own glass. Like don't
Oh, yeah.
that's
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
a no-no.
So yeah.
But a tip might be something like, Koreans take their food pairing and alcohol pairings very seriously. So it's more like of a general good thing to know. I don't know how to best articulate that. I guess having tip and tip is kind of confusing, but that's a general thinking there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, I get it.
Yeah.
We have some beta testers. They are ready to travel and try all the beers. Okay, Alexandre. We want you in Peru in 5 minutes. So give us some feedback.
Peru has some really good beer.
Hi, Valentin. Valentin is asking if I'm French.
You are from France, right?
Yeah, I am. Sorry.
Sorry. Okay, so these are the things that we want to do in this flow. Now we want to think about like how will this fit into the experience that we've already created. So
Okay.
over here somewhere, or maybe not. I'm trying to find a sketch from yesterday that we did.
You don't have a search engine on paper? No.
No,
You can undo comment F.
unfortunately
No,
not.
doesn't work.
Maybe it's coming soon. Maybe Adobe is going to build one.
Adobe Paper CC.
All right, so this is a sketch that we created on day one, where we just saw like the screens that I showed earlier. There's a map hover state, and then there's a beer detail page. It's a little bit messy because yesterday what we did is we took this sketch and then we added in the country detail page to figure out how it would fit into this flow.
Okay.
So we're saying like, okay, you have your map, you have your hover, and then instead of going to the beer,
you go to the
country page. So now we want to see, okay, for each of these things that we want to do, how do we fit that into this context?
Okay.
So, like, if you want to nominate a beer, maybe it makes sense to do it on the beer page or on the country page, like at the bottom where the beer section is.
Yeah, because you have the thumbnails. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, so you want to, like, keep it in context, right? So, how should I do this? Let's name this.
And nominate, is it like you give points or you say, or it's appreciation, like, I love this one? What do you mean by nominating a beer?
That's a good point. I wasn't thinking of it like that, but if that's like something that people want, we should test it. I was thinking
maybe we
of
can
more
ask them, like, what would be your interaction on? Yeah, there is a list of beer, so I guess you have a connection with this beer. Like maybe you like this beer. Or, what would you expect in the experience? Maybe you can let us know. You have the list of beer. Yeah. What can you do on this UI or here with the thumbnails? Like what would you do? It will take 30 seconds.
Yeah.
There's a delay. They are thinking, I can feel it. Okay.
Red Strip in Jamaica.
Hey, it's Aaron's. Yeah, good to see you again. Yeah, they all have their favorite beer. That's cool. So what were you thinking when you were saying, okay?
Ranking system, Gabriella. That's
ranking, okay, so it would be like stars on Amazon, maybe from 1 to 5.
Mm-hmm.
This could be a good way of ranking. Like Untapped, yeah. Gabriella, Untapped is a very good experience. Made with PhoneGap. Yeah. Out of 5 stars, yeah. I think it's a classic pattern.
It's a good thing to consider too, because like if you do it out of 5 stars, you're taking into consideration other people's perception of this beer, or maybe you want to create an experience where, like, if you're liking the beer, it's more of a place for you like to go back. Yeah.
But actually, could be like if I have to visit a country, I would be interested in knowing, like, because probably I've never tried the beers in Peru. Like, like I have no idea about even the existence of these beers. But if I arrive on the website and I'm about to visit Peru and I have a top 5, then I would be happy to try one. I'd say, okay, I will really try this one. It has 5 stars and 100 reviews. It would be very special and good. So.
Yeah, that's true. So then you added the review system, which is also something additional on top of the 5-star thing, right?
Yeah.
Because you're adding comments and color.
Adding
color to your
your
rating.
And the beer taste scale. Okay, yeah. So there is the information actually, Vitor on if it's a bitter beer or not. What was the name again? The IBU? IBU, yeah. Okay. So what do you have in mind, Christine?
Let's think about that. So it's a little different from what I was initially planning, but I think we should also incorporate the star pattern in here too. So on the beer detail page, maybe you do have the beer, and then you have like the little 5 stars.
Okay.
Right? Okay, that's my star. And then maybe also on this country page, remember how we had that like little preview of what the beers look like? We might also want to just put the star metadata underneath so people like can browse before they dig into the details. So
and maybe you can sort them by ranking.
Most popular, and then add a sort function.
Oh, it could be the default behavior.
Or sorted, so then we'll add a heading here like sorted by most popular, I guess.
Yeah.
Highest rated.
Most popular, I think.
Most popular. Okay, sorry, this is like really messy. You probably can't even see that. So we'll add that here. And then I think that's good enough for now.
Yeah.
So nominate beers is all good. Share a tip about local etiquette. We could treat it the same way. So actually, let's start this new paper here. So on the country detail page, we have the beers sorted by most popular. Just so I know what to add to these screens. There's a beer, there's a name, and then there's a rating. And then the next thing we want to think about is sharing tips about the local etiquette. So we do have a section here for drinking etiquette. Maybe we can add a call to action here that says like share your tip.
Oh yeah. And you could have a.
And then this could like pop a form or modal or something.
Modal, yeah.
That's asking for your tip. Actually, it should be a text field.
Mm-hmm.
And then same thing about local tips. So we have a section for local tip. And we can do the same thing. So this will also do that. So that sound good for now? We'll try to mock these up in the screens. How exciting.
Look at that. You see? It's not easy to use actually.
Wait, that's actually really cool.
But yeah. Oh my god, I picked a complex shape. It's getting better, but yeah. So you can read these kits, the XD kits. You see there is a countdown, you see in the corner?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so in 12 minutes, we will give away this XD stencil kits for UI and UX designers. So it's super easy. They just have to chat actually. So if you're just watching on behance.net/live, make sure to sign in and just type something in the chat, and we will run a script that will randomly pick someone, and we will announce who will receive this kit. That will be super exclusive. It's actually true. It's a limited edition actually.
Oh.
Yeah, really just a few. So cool. And do you feel good about this?
I do. Yes.
Okay. So do you want to?
Let's move to the screens now.
Go back to XD?
Yeah.
Okay. Here we go.
So I'm just going to build on top of this project instead of starting anew. So let's start off with adding the metadata, because I think that's the easiest thing to do, right? So here we have our beer detail page. And then if I want to add a star, or actually let's copy one of these guys. And just say, who's drank Quilmes before and wants to give me a rating?
Oh yeah, like is it the beer from Argentina? Okay.
Argentina.
Who tried the Quilmes in the chat and rating? So out of 10?
Out of, let's do 5.
Let's do 5. Okay.
For simplicity.
Yeah, let us know.
I have my rating, but I want to.
I'm
curious.
Tried it?
Yeah, I have.
Oh, okay.
It's not like the best beer in the world, but it'll do. It's good for like a day after you walk around the city and you just like want something cold to drink.
Okay.
So it's a reliable beer for that.
1 star. Gabriella says 1 star.
Okay, mine's a little close.
Yeah. Let's say 2.3.
2 to 3.
Yeah.
Okay, I was gonna give it a 2 too. So let's do 2. Okay, 3. Okay, let's do 3. Thanks, Gabriella.
Okay, thanks, Gabriella.
So we'll say 3 out of 5. Oops. And then this will, let's say, actually, you probably don't even need the caption rating, right? Like, that's a pretty common pattern, and people will know. Let's just add a star icon. 3.0 out of 5.0. And then maybe I want to treat it a little bit differently.
Okay.
So 3 should be bigger. And I'm gonna go into my asset panel. So this is where I have all of my character styles already defined. So to maintain consistency, I wanna use what's already here. So let's try. We could do something like that. I'll just bump these sections down.
And I've just noticed that we start receiving some portfolios
nice.
links to review. So if you want your portfolio to be reviewed by Christine and myself at the end of the show, make sure to check the portfolio review tab on behance.net/live and just submit a link to your Behance portfolio. We will pick 2. Okay, we can only review 2 portfolios per show. Sorry if we don't review yours, but you can still submit it during the next show and get another chance to be reviewed by Rovan in this case.
So I'm looking for a star icon. So I just went to Adobe Stock,
Yeah.
and I'm looking for a star to use. And then there's these filters here. I want to use a vector.
Yeah, you can say vector. Yeah.
So this one's cute.
Yeah, this one is classic, I would say.
It's reliable.
It's a good shape.
Yeah. So let's
Okay.
license and save to computer. And
Yeah.
then.
There is something funny. Can I try?
Yeah, go for it.
Let me check. Open in. Let's see if it works.
Oh,
Yep.
do I click on it?
Oh, yeah. Good job.
Preview was saved to downloads. Oh. Oh.
Wait. Here we go.
Ooh.
Whoa!
Whoa. World domination.
Is it big enough?
I know, right?
Let's
create a new.
Yeah, so I don't know how they do that, but yeah, you can directly open the asset and say, okay, open it in Photoshop, open it in Illustrator, and it does the job for you.
There you go.
I think you need to have your Creative Cloud desktop app launched, and that's how it works. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Okay, so let's see this file. Can you do Command Y just to make sure it's not? Yeah, it's clean.
Yep. So I'll go back into XD and open up my CC libraries.
Good.
So
Like
it
that.
might take a while to sync though, right? Oh no, it's
No,
because
it's not
I
in
didn't.
the library.
Yeah, I didn't save it.
You
to
need
my
to add
library.
it.
Let's just.
Oh.
I just went to the downloads folder because I'm lazy.
How did it do it? Oh yeah, but
There's
there is
a filter.
Yeah. Now
So
go in
here-
Illustrator and maybe drag and drop it in the library.
Into here.
If you go in Illustrator
Uh-huh.
and okay,
Take this.
no, take the shape, drag and drop it in here. So which library are you using? On the right, you see, not downloads, but the one for the project.
Oh, I see. Here's the
Yeah,
world.
drag and drop it. Here we go. Now, if you go back to
Cool.
XD, in a few seconds, you should be able to use it.
Oh, I didn't know you could do that. Thanks for the tip. Okay. Oops.
Okay, it's coming. It's coming.
Yeah. Alright.
Okay.
We don't need it to be that big. Let's make it like 16 and see how that feels.
Where is it?
It might be too small. Maybe it's not too small. Let's try it. 1, 2, 3. And then we'll bump this up here. Actually, you know what? Do you think we need the text?
It's a good question.
And then also I want to show that it's out of 5, so I'll create 5 stars, but maybe I'll change the
the
fill on
opacity?
these. Yeah,
Or reduce the opacity, it would work. You have a black background, so.
yeah, like 50, 50.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like we don't need this.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, what do you think in the chat? But I feel, yeah, we don't need this. Like if you look at the stars, we're so used to
Yeah.
this pattern that we read actually 3 out of 5. you know?
Exactly.
Like, so maybe it's just typing the information twice.
And like, do people care that it's 2.7 out of 5? Can they round down to 2.5? Like, you can show that visually with the stars, so
It's true.
yeah.
Can I show you a trick
Yeah, okay.
to make it visually
Yes.
also? Okay, can I work on your computer?
Yeah,
It's
go for
okay?
it.
Should we delete this baby?
Yeah, let's delete
Yeah.
it.
Okay, let's delete this. So we just pick one,
Uh-huh.
and I will duplicate it here, and zoom in, and we will use the repeat grid.
Oh, yeah.
Du-du-du-du. Okay, so maybe we can do this.
There you go.
Then we change the. Oh, what did I select?
So even if you use repeat grid, you can override the styles of specific objects within here?
Oh yeah. What? So there are 2 ways. So
Uh-huh.
that's why I wanted to show you.
Yep.
Let me check what's happening with. Where am I? Okay, that's the repeat grids. So maybe we can change the opacity to 50% and duplicate this one.
Oh, and then just show
Put it back to
3.
0 and then 2.7. This one is a bit too long. But this is how you can, very easy trick.
Oh.
And we're using a symbol. So I will try something, but maybe it will fail. Okay. So let's say you share this library with someone. Like it could be me. Like you can share a library. So you would go here and say collaborate and share it with me. So I can open this asset in Illustrator. And let's say I'm working on this to edit the shape. So I don't know what we can do, but is there anything we could do? So here you see it's an angle. And let's say I want to make it more, it doesn't look good, but just as a test. And I will save.
Kind of looks like Patrick from SpongeBob.
Right? And now it should sync. And here we go.
Cool.
Yeah. So now it's in sync. So if let me do a Command Z, save. And again, it will sync in the cloud. You saw it syncing here, and then it will sync in the UI. So what's cool is that you can have, so here it's on the same computer.
Yeah.
But I could be in Paris working on the icon.
Oh.
And when I save, like you work in XD and it will update everything.
Super handy. So if I go to Adobe Illustrator and I click collaborate, what does that do?
Yeah.
Does it show up on your computer?
So,
I'm sorry to interrupt.
is it Paul Trani?
Yeah, but I brought you a coffee just
Oh.
to get the juices flowing.
Oh my
Sorry, I got a little.
God.
It got a little
oh my
distorted.
god, there's a new one every day.
It says creative juice.
And then it's like supposed to be a coffee cup, pencil.
With a
It's
pencil.
yeah, I can tell.
And
I
then-
can tell. And
okay,
then
good.
there's a URL.
So trust me, I
B.net
took, it was
/live.
much cleaner, but the walk from the cafe to here is longer than I thought.
Oh my God. Yeah.
But,
So if the first time you see that, so we received a new coffee machine at Adobe, and Paul already hacked the machine. So now we are uploading our design.
Yeah, if you guys watched the one yesterday, he actually created the globehopper logo
Yeah.
in the
Yes.
coffee.
Good
Put it
job.
So
in
you should watch
in a beer.
yesterday's.
But yes,
Thanks,
Oh,
Paul.
yes.
But what is this?
you
Is
can
it?
drink it now.
Yeah, but what is this?
It's nitro coffee. The nitro coffee.
Oh, you can keep it. Do you want it or?
If-
Do you
if
like
don't
nitro
want it,
coffee?
I'll drink it if you
Yeah.
don't
Ah,
want
okay.
it.
I
Yeah,
already
Drink
have
it,
one out
please.
there, so.
Okay, it's cold, huh?
cool. Thank you.
Okay, so sorry. Thanks, Paul. Looks yummy. Yeah, Wendell. It looks very yummy.
Really excited for that.
Andrea says, "Wish I worked with Paul." Yeah, you need a lot of energy, but it's super fun to work with Paul.
Yeah.
But you can be exhausted at the end of the day. I can. So how does it work? You just type my email. So now everyone will email me. That's great. But don't hesitate. If you want to say hi by email, I'm more than happy. So you invite me. Then now, what's happening? Let's switch to my screen so you will understand.
Yeah.
So I'm in Paris. I'm like, oh, what's happening? And I receive an invitation. Christine Lee has invited you to collaborate. Okay, so I say, okay, accept. And now the next step is that I will launch Illustrator. And I should see the library.
That's super cool.
So it's not only about editing what you created, but I
Yeah.
can also add assets. So you can, let's say we use Slack and you say, okay, Michael, can you add me a beer icon
Yeah.
or a home icon? I say,
Yeah.
okay, I'm on it. And I drag and drop it in the library and it's available.
Interesting.
So that's really the... I've just unveiled a project I'm working on. So it's supposed to be confidential, but that's fine. So now
Sorry,
if
this
I'm
is like a little
opening Illustrator, okay, and in library. So what's the name of your library?
beers of the world.
Okay.
That
Here we
was
go.
before we got the globehopper name. That's why.
So should we try the full
Yeah,
sync?
yeah.
Okay. What can I do? I will just shift the color, okay? Make it a little bit less saturated and more gold. Like this, okay? Just to see. So I'm saving. If you go back to XD, let's see what happens. Okay, so I'm in sync. You see this is syncing here, and it will change the color in a few seconds. Here we go.
Whoa, that's actually really cool.
That's good, huh?
I'm impressed.
That's good, yeah. And to celebrate this, we will give away the Adobe XD stencil kit. You remember? That's it. So we will give it away now. So be active in the chat now. Okay. Say hi to Christine. Tell us if you like the Creative Cloud library, if you like Adobe XD, but please sign in on behance.net/live and be active in the chat because our script will pick someone who will be active now. Okay. So make sure to say something in the chat. And it's your chance to win this kit with beautiful pens. It's branded Adobe. It has the XD icon here. It's a limited edition. There is paper with a grid. So very, very nice giveaway today. So yeah, here we go. Now I see you. Even Samantha, she wants to win. It's crazy. Okay. So thanks, Christine, for letting me introducing you to this workflow.
Yeah,
okay,
no, this
so
is
we
really
took some time, but yeah, if you work with other designers, it's super useful. But that's really the value of Creative Cloud libraries. You know? And it works the same for pictures, actually.
Gotcha.
So if you tell me, oh, Michael, this beer is, if it comes from the library, which I'm not sure actually.
Yeah, it is.
If it's still linked, but if it's linked,
yeah.
And tell me, oh, it's too saturated, like can you work on the light? And I can work on the light, I save, it will update the picture.
That's actually really cool because I feel like one of the biggest challenges as a designer today in my current workflow is that it's really hard to collaborate with people on the same files. And you just saw like we could both be working on the same file, so I feel like it'll save a lot of time.
It's good, huh?
Yeah.
And we know who will receive the kits. So Christine, if you want to announce the name.
Congrats to Lucien.
Lucien Ferraz. Lucien Ferraz. Congratulations. Let us know where you're from, Lucien. Oh, I see you actually. Yay. Just said Adobe rocks. Oh, thank you, Lucien. You will receive a private message on Behance and then we'll ship it to you. Just like this. Super fast. Congrats. And you see there is another countdown here now. It's you still have about 56 minutes to submit the link to your portfolio if you want to get a chance to be reviewed by Christine at the end of the show. We'll only pick 2, okay? And to submit your portfolio, go on behance.net/live. There is the portfolio review tab next to the chat tab. Yeah, congratulations, Lucien. Yeah, he's super happy. Okay, that's cool. Okay, let's go back to the UI and yeah, we learned a lot just in a few minutes.
We learned a lot, yeah. Okay, so
great.
Let's use this guy then instead. So we used a repeat grid to create this.
Yeah.
And then we also use the Creative Cloud library sync magic.
And everything is in a group, so that's why we have having a hard time. So if you can, maybe, can we do this?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, go outside.
Ungroup it.
Just to go outside the group, so when you click, you directly select it,
Gotcha.
if that's okay with you.
Yeah,
cool.
That's cool. All right, so that's what it looks like now. What else were we trying to do? We were trying to...
Oh, you know what we will do?
Yeah.
What is the color of Argentina?
Argentina?
You see the color that you're using here? Or the color of... So I will pick the same yellow, basically.
Yeah.
Just want
question.
Oh, okay, so it's FF. Oh, let me know here, because I can change it here, actually.
It's
see what I mean?
FFC.
FFC.
B5C.
B5C. Oh, we were very close. That's weird. Okay, let me check again. Am I changing something? Ah, okay, here we go. Okay, can you say it again?
FFC.
FFC.
B5C.
B5C. Okay, much better. You know what? I just have to save. It will sync. You don't have to pay attention anymore. It will just update.
It's magic. It's so fast too. Like usually syncing takes a really long time.
Yeah, they did a good job.
Instant, yeah. Cool.
Arthur has a question for us. What is your preferred way to put text on top of an image? So what is the use case, Arthur? I think I understand what you're going on, but yeah, and don't hesitate to ask questions, okay? It's really your opportunity to engage with Christine. So Arthur, so there are many tools, but it depends. If it's on top of a picture, it depends on the output, like what will you do? If it's for the web, Photoshop can make sense, if you want to add some effects on the text. I use XD more and more, even to create web assets, when I use text on top of an image, when I create the YouTube thumbnails, when I create assets for social media, I use XD now. Because it's so fast.
Yeah, and XD has some pretty good export options. Like I was exporting this artboard earlier today, and if you click export selected, like there's all these different options for like design or web or iOS or Android.
Yeah, and so you have
that's handy.
PNG, SVG, PDF, and JPEG.
Yeah, so. And then you can choose like what Retina. Like if you have Retina, you can do 2x and 1x. So it's pretty handy.
It's very useful if you work with developers who are expecting design assets.
Right. Yeah.
And there is. Okay, I will show you one more trick. No one
is
aware of this
much
one.
Today.
No one knows this one.
I think I'm more excited.
But let's say that you work on your design and you know that the developers, they will ask you to export. I will take something stupid, but this, for instance. Or it could be an icon, and maybe you will change it in the future in 3 weeks, and you need to export it again. So in the Layers panel, you can flag something and say, every time this, I will have to export it for my designers, just this element. Or if you select the repeat grid, this is something also I will have to export, maybe within 3 weeks. So you create a batch of design assets that you want to export. So when you do, next time you do export the batch, it will export all the elements that you flagged in the Layers panel and all your artboards and export everything in one shot.
Wait, that's actually super cool too.
Yeah, this is something you would use?
Yeah. Well, because like developer handoff is actually one of the most time-consuming processes for me. So like I use Zeppelin to like determine, the image is like 80 pixels away from the text, and I have to go into each layer and export them individually. But that's cool. Like as you're working, you know already what you need to export. So by the time you're ready to hand off, it's just
you export.
I'm learning so many things today. This is really exciting.
Okay, cool. Arthur has an example on homepage for header. If you want to put a title like "Welcome to globehopper," would you put in a box, drop a shadow, outline the text? So Arthur. In XD, you can drop a shadow, but that's it, I would say. There are not so many options. You can add a border, I'm not even sure. So if you really want to have like heavy effects on text, you can use Illustrator on Photoshop and then export the assets to XD.
Or like a cheap way that I like to use image or text on top of images is to add an overlay. So I'll just create like a black rectangle and then make it maybe like opacity 10 or 20 and then put text on top of it. Yeah,
it's a good trick.
Like kind of saturates the image, but if that's just there for like, I don't know, visual effect and they don't actually need to see the content of the image, that's a cheap, easy way to do it.
That's great.
Yeah.
And a quick question, Rodrigo is asking if the Windows version of XD, because XD is also available on Windows, is still behind iOS, Mac OS, I guess. That's what you mean, Rodrigo. No, so now you have exactly the same features. There are maybe 2 missing features on Windows that are due to Windows, such as recording a video of the prototype. So you have to use different software. We cannot leverage QuickTime. And live preview, maybe on mobile. But all the design features, prototype features, sharing features are available on Windows too. Okay. So we have a rating on the beer.
We have a rating on the beer. And then we also want to add an entry point for letting people share their tips as well as tips on drinking etiquette. So let's go to the country page. Let's use Peru as an example. And then we'll just add maybe a link. Let's try it, see what it looks like. Share your tip.
Okay.
Share what's local drinking etiquette. Share we can change the copy later.
Yeah.
That's like another part where I spend a lot of time is determining what words to use.
It's so time consuming, but it's so important.
It's so important. So I'll go back to my assets panel, figure out if there's already a style that might be appropriate to use here.
Oh,
I
yeah.
think
You
I
really
can
did a
just
good
use
job
this.
organizing all these styles.
Yeah, this is good etiquette for you guys. I normally wouldn't do this, but it's especially important, especially if you're going to be collaborating with other people to maintain an organized system here. So I've shared your tip. I think I want to underline it, or maybe...
We have a question from our friend Raviteja asking if you can remind him what typeface you're using. So the information should be on the left, actually, no?
Yeah, so the sans serif I'm using is Freight Sans Pro.
Okay.
And this is actually from Adobe Typekit.
It's from Typekit, yeah.
Yeah, so if you just go to Typekit, there's a bunch of awesome fonts on here, and they have like a little preview. So what I usually do is, let's browse. So like there's all these fonts, and then there's these different classifications if you're looking for something very specific. So if I'm looking for a sans serif and I want to see what my body copy looks like, I can just like go back in here, copy this guy, paste it in here, and see like
preview.
Yeah, what kind of font might be appropriate for my screen.
Awesome.
So yeah, there's that. And then the serif font that I'm using is called Charter. I don't think this was already on my computer. I forgot where I got it from. It's somehow magically was already on there. So that's what I'm using for most of the headers.
Okay.
Yeah, good question. Okay, so I'm sure your tip here. I'm not like totally in love with how it looks because it's like blending in with the header color, but using this bright yellow also isn't the best. And try an underline, but then it kind of blends in, which I guess isn't the worst thing in the world.
Yeah, to be discreet.
Yeah.
So it really depends if it's if you want to prioritize this call to action, like is it really something you want people to click on here, then I guess you would make it pop.
Right.
But if it's just
it's more of a secondary action because people want to come here to learn about the content, and then if they disagree with the content or they have something to add, then you can go in and find this entry point.
So I think it works very well.
Okay, so let's add that here as well. And for those of you just joining, I am using the rules of 8 to determine my spacing and my overall, like, how do you call it?
Layout? What do you mean?
So like all of my spacing is in increments of 8. So this is 8 pixels from this guy. This is 24 from this guy, which is 8 cubed. And then like this is theoretically it's 64. So 8 times 8. So that way everything kind of looks put together. There's a system.
Yeah, we had a guest, Travis Nielsen. He works for Google and he's using the same technique.
Oh, cool. So if they're using 8s at Google, we must be doing something right. Okay, so we have our entry points for the tip. So that's pretty good for now. The other thing that we want to consider is once you click on each of these entry points, what is that going to look like? So we had determined that, maybe we'll pop open a modal and give you a big text field so you can enter in your tip. So let's mock that up. I'm just going to duplicate this artboard here. Probably wasn't the best because there's a lot of content.
So Garrett is asking, should you be using Spanish fonts to get the appropriate accents? So it's not a Spanish font. So actually in a typeface, and when you're on Typekit, there is a filter where you can make sure that the Spanish characters are managed or present in the typeface. Same for more than 16 languages. You have all these filters. To make sure you have the tilde in Spanish that has been designed by the typeface designer. But usually if you make it to Typekit, as a typeface designer, it means that you you manage most of these characters and cases because Typekit only features highly professional typefaces. There is a quality requirement to be on Typekit. So, and language management is one of them. Mm-hmm.
That's good to know. Okay, so what I'm doing right now is I'm trying to figure out if I want to add a text box for like sharing your tip. I'm thinking like maybe, do we want to do something like this? Make it super subtle so people know that you can type in here.
Okay.
And maybe add some like placeholder copy. So like, oops, my layers are probably all messed up because...
usually it's with the group. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
So if I click the share your tip for drinking etiquette, maybe I can add a little prompt like, do you have a tip about local drinking culture? Or add like a bunch of questions to kind of guide the person and remind them how they ended up in this state.
So Wendell is asking how we can make the prototype to life. So that's what Christine was mentioning. At some point, you have to hand off the prototype to developers. But what Christine is doing now is really critical because you don't want to send an experience to developers so they start coding it and then you realize that the experience is not efficient. So that's why thanks to XD and what he's doing, like she can also add interaction, share the prototype with users, do some user testing, like very, very good test. You can have them used like the experience, the prototype in XD. And if you discover that after 10 users, like no one clicked on share your tip, then you can say, oh, okay, so actually maybe it's too subtle or too discreet. Maybe I need to change the experience to invite them to share more. But once it's coded, then you have to talk to developers and say, oh, can you fix the code? So that's why you really want to control the prototype, the experience before, validate everything, and then you can hand off to developers. And to hand off to developers, it really depends on the platform. So is it a native app for iOS? They will have some requirements. Is it Android? Even more requirements. Is it for the web? So it's a lot of conversations. A lot of talking with developers.
And it's pretty cool because in XD, you have multiple ways to publish your prototype. So if you wanted to do something like user testing over like a Zoom call or Skype call, there's this publish prototype link where you can click it and it'll publish it to the web. And you have a URL that you can share with them and they can actually go and click through the different screens. So.
And when you will share it with developers, you can use the second one, which is publish the design specs. And then, have you tried this one, Christine?
It's actually, super cool.
And then
do it for this guy.
they will know which colors you're using, which typeface, textiles. They will have access to the margins, all the dimensions. So design specs, I think you need to connect some screens in the prototype view.
Oh.
And then it will...
I think they were already connected.
Oh, okay,
though.
so it will work. It will
Well,
work.
let's see. I did it the
If you
other
go
day,
back to
but we
the
added the logo.
Share button. Oh yeah, it's uploading a lot of stuff. So yeah.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure you connected them.
So we can open the link.
And yeah, good job. So this is something you can share. So if you open a screen, you will see that on the right.
Oops.
So yeah, click outside or on the outboard. I think maybe if you click here.
Oh, there you go.
You have all the colors used, and they are highlighted. So if you hover a color, it will show you where this is used. Same for the text. So if you hover a textile, it will show you where this is used in the UI. And what you were mentioning, the rules of 8, so they can access also the margins between the elements. Here we go.
Oops, that's not an 8, but
Oh,
ideally
no.
it would be an 8.
It's vertically, right?
Yeah, vertically 8.
Okay, good job.
Yeah. And this is super cool too because as a developer and you're creating your style sheets, it's easy. You just like go in here and you already see all the styles defined. So you
Yeah.
can just define those variables super quick and see where they're used. So
I
pretty
think there
handy.
is something new. Can we go back and try to share the prototype? I think
share the prototype.
they introduced a new feature. So the
Ooh.
classic sharing.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, here we go. Okay. Can
Should I
you see?
update it?
Oh yeah, now you can add a password.
Oh,
So that's new. Because so far we were publishing a public link,
oh.
which is okay, but it's a very complex link. But yeah, who knows? But now you can add this level of security and share it just with your customer, and it's password protected. And that's something we have introduced this week on Tuesday. And you will see more and more features to collaborate, share. It's really one of the big priority for Adobe XD.
Got it. Wait, did I?
You are logged in, so
Oh, I'm logged in. Okay. So if you guys want to try, wait. So I embedded this on my Behance profile. Would they have to go in and enter a password there?
yeah, maybe you should uncheck the.
Oh, okay. I was gonna
In
say
XD,
the
yeah.
password is globehoppers if you want to check it out, but okay, I'll uncheck
And
it
publish
for now.
again. Yeah.
Cool.
The password is password. Yeah, yeah, easy.
Okay, so I have this. I think we can still tweak it a little more to make it a little more visually compelling. Right now it's kind of just like blah, but that's okay. As long as we have the interactions figured out, we can always go back and tweak the
Oh,
visuals
okay.
later. So
Yeah, it could be a trick with some background blur. You know, if it's on
Let's-
top of the page and you add a background blur.
oh, that's true. Let's try that now. So I have this grouped already. I'll just paste it on top. And then,
So you need to, for background blur, it's
is it a shape?
exactly. So
Gotcha.
you trace a rectangle that will become the mask. And you say, and everything that will be below will become blurry.
Gotcha.
Here we
Ooh.
go. Okay, but you can make it darker. You can change the settings here.
Oh, gotcha.
So that's the blur, and the second one is if you want to change the opacity. Here we go.
Something like that.
Yeah, so maybe it can be too distracting. Well, I don't know. The advantage of background blur is that you keep the context.
Right.
You know on which page you are, but maybe also visually it's a bit messy. So
Well, let's
another
try.
good thing to test with
Yeah.
users. Yeah.
Yeah, that's because we use such a strong color for the country fill. It is a little bit distracting and you can't see
Yeah, I agree.
the text, but
So your solution was maybe better.
oh, I'll keep that because I like to keep my variation. So yesterday we were
good.
talking about like possibly showing the beers up front and then the handy phrases and tips underneath to see how that would feel. So like the reason why I like to keep my variations is because whenever I show this in a design review or if I am communicating to stakeholders and they're like, oh, did you try this? Oh, did you try that? I can be like, yes, I tried this. This is why it doesn't work. Or like, yes, I tried this. What do you think? Instead of like editing on top of the same artboard over and over again. So that's why my files get super messy, but I think it's also helpful and a little more efficient, at least from my perspective. So okay, so we have this like share your tip text field thing. I think I want to change this button state. Right now it's super bright. Let's try this because right now we don't have any content, so I want to show that it's a disabled state, you know? And then
good.
let's just move this down here. And then I'll show what it would look like once I do have content entered. We can bump it back up to 100. And then maybe I want to, oops, go in here. I'll just copy this for now.
Yeah, maybe they can work on the copy. So if
Oops.
you can give us a tip in the chat. In the meantime, we will use this placeholder, but yeah, if you have something that we want us to type.
Yeah, so there's like different things to consider, right? Like, what does a placeholder style look like? What does the actual body copy style look like? The different states of the button. So even though it seems like a pretty simple flow, there's little like micro interactions to consider. Okay, and then once you click share, what should happen. I think you should get a confirmation message that your tip has been shared successfully.
Okay.
And then there will probably be some kind of back-end magic.
Moderation.
Yeah, maybe it's an email that's sent to me. Maybe it like populates an Excel file or some kind of spreadsheet with the different rows, so a moderator can go in and edit it. There's also that experience to consider, which we didn't get to in the sketches, but now that I'm thinking of it, we should have sketched that entire flow. But for now, let's just focus on the user-facing part. So I'm just gonna say, thanks for sharing your tip. Our moderators will take a look or review it and get back to you.
And David is asking if you think that maybe the close button is too far away, from the action zone.
That's a good point. Let's try bumping it closer and see how it feels. So
I guess it has to be centered too. And it's a tricky play.
Let's center this text as well. Oops. Center. Feel free to email globehoppers at
Backend Magic, brought to you by PHP. Yeah, easy. Why not? Yeah. And talking about backend, I wanted to share with you an exciting news. So we have just released, if you are using Google Chrome as a browser, if you go to the Chrome Web Store, where you can install extensions, and search for Adobe Live on Behance. Here we go. You can install this extension and it will create this and let you know when we are live. Okay? And if you right click and go in options, you can now fine tune and say, I just want to be notified when there is a new live event about UX design and graphic design, but I'm not interested in photography, so don't notify me. Because it will also push Chrome notifications only once a day, so you're not spam, but at least you know when we will go live next time. So just go on the Chrome store, I guess, the Chrome Web Store, search for Adobe Live. You can install it and let us know what you think. I think you can leave some reviews if you like it. Shout out to Mike Chambers, who developed the extension. But if you can install it now, let us know in the chat what you think about it.
So right now what I'm doing is, I tried moving this X a little bit closer, but I think if we're taking a look at like the high-level view of the different screens, we use the X pretty consistently up here.
Okay.
And I think people are used to
if they
want to go back and close something, they'll look to one of the top corners.
That's a very good point. Like if you just look at the screen, like just one, you're like, oh, maybe it's a bit off context. But if you create a habit like among all the screens and you know it's always there, then you won't be frustrated. And
so I think I'll bump it back up. But that is a good point because maybe people won't know to look there. So I'm considering adding like a return back to Peru country page.
Oh, yeah, it's a good idea.
And then we can see if that helps.
Yeah, sometimes it's good to have two links, two ways.
Yeah. Like not everyone works the same way, so you want to be mindful of that. So we can, and then maybe on hovering over the link, we can add the underline so people know that the system is responding to them. Okay, let's hook this up in the prototype to see how all of that will feel together.
Bye, Martha.
Okay, so let's hook up this screen to share your tip. And then we can use dissolve for now, and then we can tweak it later. And then once a user enters some information, it would look something like this. when they click share, you'll get this screen, and then hovering over this guy. So right now there aren't any like hover states for the transitions, but
Not
I'm
yet.
using click for now. So click to dissolve. That's good enough. And then clicking on this X will take you back to Peru.
Okay.
So let's see how that feels.
Okay, so that's the welcome
Oops.
screen.
That's Argentina. We want to look at
First-
Peru. So there's Peru.
Okay.
Let me blow this up. Here's the beer detail page. Oh, we didn't
but
hook
it's
this
not,
up yesterday correctly.
It's not this one.
Yeah. So go back here.
So many screens.
I know. I usually, like, my screens get to, like, hundreds of artboards.
Yeah.
Or my files get to hundreds of artboards. And the nice thing about Adobe XD is I feel like it's pretty fast. Like,
Oh, yeah, you have no idea.
I have a bunch of artboards here and I can go like this and I know exactly where I am. Whereas other programs I've used, it takes a minute for the system to catch up.
Paul, do you have your crazy sample with a lot of artboards?
Yeah, I can send it to you.
Uh,
Or not.
yeah, airdrop. We can airdrop it now. Let's try it. Yeah. Paul has a crazy sample.
Oh. All right, so we have Peru. Now it's actually going to the country detail page. And then if we go down to share your local tip, here's what that would look like. You add your tip, click share. Thanks for sharing your tip. And then there's a little hover state. And we forgot to hook up that screen, so let's do that. Return back to Peru. Okay, one last time. Double checking. Share your tip.
Tip.
Add your tip.
Down,
Share the tip.
Thank
Yay.
you.
Hover, and then it goes back. And then same thing if you
Works
wanted
well.
to just click on the X, it'll take you back.
Awesome.
Yeah, so I think that's a nomination flow. We can do the same thing if we wanted to share your tip for drinking etiquette. So I'm just gonna reuse the same screens. So I can go here, share my tip. Actually, maybe I don't want to use the same screen because I want to change the help copy, the placeholder copy here, to be more pertinent to the
Okay.
drinking etiquette rather than,
Oh, yeah, yeah.
You know
so
what I
you
mean?
can duplicate.
yeah.
It's a good example also on how to use the placeholder text. How to help the user, inspire the user just with one line.
Yeah.
So it just sets your mind, and say, okay, yeah, I need to share a tip about this.
Yeah.
Gives more context. Yeah.
It's good to mock it out, but if you're pressed for time, one of the other things I like to do is create a copy doc. So
Oh.
if the elements and the components are all the same like this, actually I'll sketch it out. Maybe that'll be easier.
Yes, please.
Okay, so go like that.
Yeah. I'm sorry.
So here's my share your tip. I have this, and then I have some placeholder copy. I have the button copy, and then X. So one thing that I like to do is using like a spreadsheet or a Word document or some kind of text-based program. Just want to mark up the different instances on
Okay.
where you would use this. So in this case, we are trying to gather tips for drinking etiquette as well as the local tip. So I'll just label these. This is like the H1. This is placeholder. And this is CTA. So what I'll do is create like a grid that just says H1 placeholder
Okay.
CTA. And then I'll do the same thing here.
And how do you call it again? A copy.
A copy doc,
Copy doc.
like copy document. And then I'll just write the copy in here. So for this H1, I want to say share your tip. And then the placeholder that we used in the first example is called, do you have a tip about your local drinking culture? So I'll just add that whole thing in here. And then the next variation might be something different, right? So then I'll add that here. And then I'll just create a little document of all the instances where I want to reuse this, but I might not necessarily want to mock up all the different screens. So that's another like cheap way to get around that.
Nice tip. Yeah.
Yeah. But I find that like it's not super hard to create the screen, so if you can, you should, because engineers like to see what they're going to be building instead of having to interpret something like this. So this is only if you're like really pressed for time.
And you were talking about the performance of XD, you know, like, and you feel that it's super fast. So this is the example we have. It's for a boosted board, you know, like so. Here I'm working on the screen. And it's true that you can zoom out and review all the artboards. And it's pretty fast. It's pretty smooth. You know.
How many?
Oh
my god! What in the world? How many artboards is that?
1,500. Yeah, it's pretty fast. So.
And those are all symbols and character styles and.
I'm not sure, but you can. Also, I like to use Command 3, you know, to select and zoom. Command 3, Command 1 to go back to 100%, Command 2 to zoom in a little bit more, Command 3 to directly zoom in on what I selected.
Yeah.
But it's really part of XD actually. Like when the engineers design XD, the priority number one on their whiteboard was performance.
Yeah.
And every time they add a new feature, they challenge the performance. They say, okay, does it impact the performance? Yes, it has an impact. Okay, optimize it, and then you can come back.
Yeah.
So that's why they keep adding features, and it's the same on Windows 10, so which is also super impressive.
Yeah, and I'm actually super impressed because look at how many images are in this file.
Yeah, I don't know
Every
how
time
they
I
do
add
that.
a photo, I feel like my tools just slow down infinitely.
Yeah.
So
No,
that's really impressive.
that's yeah. For me, that's the number one feature of Adobe XD.
Yeah.
It's fast.
Yeah.
You know. I'm also working on files with hundreds of hardboards, and I open the doc and I never wonder, okay, should I wait? Should I copy paste? No, I just duplicate stuff. You know, duplicate proposals, such as what you were explaining. Like you like to keep all your proposals, you know, of design, such as the background blur.
Yeah. That is nuts.
It's crazy, huh? Yeah, it's crazy.
You never want your tools to get in the way of your workflow. So that's a really good. I'm like speechless. Anyways, coming back to this, I think we've mapped out most of the flows. Is there anything else that you guys would want to see? I guess another thing to consider is, where did my stars go? Oh, on the beer detail page. Like, how do we want to let users rate the different beers? Right? Do we want to just show the beers or show the rating, or do we actually want them to participate in the rating?
Yeah, they should be able to participate.
Yeah.
That would be interesting. And hurry up, you still have 20 minutes to submit your portfolio with the Portfolio Review tab. Also, if you submitted your portfolio during the first show with Martha and you didn't get reviewed, submit it again, okay? Submit it during these 20 minutes because we keep track of the portfolios, but per show, okay? So, and we will review 2 portfolio in about 20, 25 minutes. So how can they, it's a good question, because here you see the rating.
Yeah.
So
like,
could it be interactive, or do you have to add a call to action to say rate this beer?
Yeah.
It's not easy, huh?
One of the patterns that I've seen is like you can let users hover over the stars to override the rating.
Yeah, and then it becomes interactive.
Yeah, and then, but the interesting thing about that pattern is then it becomes your rating, so you know that you've interacted with this beer. So then it becomes like, you know, rather than other people's ratings and then your rating and the average of that, it just becomes solely your rating.
Oh, that's cool. But then would you display both?
Yeah, exactly. So that's the complicated part, is how would you then display that rating to the rest of the world? Like for people who don't know what Quilmes tastes like. Another pattern is to add that entry point that says like, oh, add your review here
Yeah.
or add your star rating here. And maybe that'll also pop open like a baby dialogue. And then you can enter in your star
The
number.
star and maybe one line.
Yeah.
But I like this idea of having access to the global the global rating, but also to keep track of mine. So maybe if I've rated in the past the Quilmes beer, it would display both.
Yeah.
Like global ranking, your ranking. I don't know.
My ranking and your ranking.
Yeah.
Let's try it and see what that looks like.
Yeah. Let's try.
So I'm just gonna my ranking. Oops.
So Gabriel says that we introduce a whole other component with people submitting their own names of beers with ratings. Have to build an API that would look like other submitting names of beers. Have to build yeah. That would be tough, yeah. Jimmy says maybe it could be a second row with different colored stars. Mm-hmm. Interesting. You have your own profile with your rated beers. Yeah, maybe you could access your library of beers, with all our favorite ones. Yeah.
Yeah. So if we have your own profile, then we would need to create the flow for creating an account, letting you have a logged in status, a logged out status, considering what information you want to block on login, which is a good thing to consider as well. So I tried this. I'm not totally in love with like having the 2 rows of stars. It feels a little bit difficult to scan through the page.
It's very heavy.
Yeah, and we want people to be able to easily digest the information. So we tried it. I don't think it works too well for what we're trying to do, because we want people to be able to come here, digest the information, understand what's happening quickly, and then get back to their research.
I agree.
So let's actually... I'm going to keep this version just so we can see it, but maybe on Peru, we can just add this guy back in. That feels a little bit better.
Yeah.
We can compare what that would look like.
So the question is, who is because so it could be also that Globehopper has a team of experts,
Yeah.
that you trust, and they are in charge of rating the beers.
Yeah.
So maybe a simple interaction would be to add favorites, like if you want to keep track of, with a heart or something.
Like, add to your favorite, so you can still have the star rating.
So star rating maybe could be rated by experts, like by the website.
Uh-huh.
So you trust them. Or maybe it's based on a book or such as the Michelin for the restaurants.
Oh, yeah.
So maybe there is an entity that says, okay, I know what I'm talking about. I know that it's a 2.7 star beer.
Yeah, that's true.
But then as a user, you were mentioning that maybe you want to say, okay, I really want to try this one. Mm-hmm. So having a way to bookmark a beer, or or maybe for my own sake, I want to, when I try a beer, to say, okay, I tried this one, and
Like a little journal almost?
yeah.
So like you can document like where you tried it and what the flavor profile was like, who you're with when you tried this beer.
But maybe you don't want to share this. See what I mean? Maybe you don't want to
So
share.
it's private.
Maybe it's
so then you
private.
would need a profile.
Yeah.
To
Then you would need a profile.
I think
To
Gabriella
Gabrielle's
suggested
point.
that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So as you can see, there are multiple possibilities with this one very simple flow. I think to start...
Oh, Kevin says that Rotten Tomatoes, for the movies.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they do 2 ratings, the pros and the users. Oh.
So let's take a look at what that looks like.
Yeah, and the pros are, I guess, magazines.
Oh.
And the users are,
So I actually haven't seen
If we
this.
take this one,
Tomato meter.
the tomato meter.
So this is critics who have given the movie a positive review. All critics and top critics.
Ah.
Oh, interesting. So it's like
So
a
what's the difference
tab.
with all critics? So it might include all the users, and top critics are just by the people from the industry,
Maybe.
or people you trust on Rotten Tomatoes because they added a lot of reviews. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. Huh. I
But
like.
yeah,
Yeah.
maybe it's adding too much complexity.
I think so. I think we want to start small. That's also something to consider is
Yeah, it's a good point.
constraints, especially when you're building like an MVP version of what you want to put out there. You have to consider what's possible within the scope that the engineers can deliver on, right? So I think this is good to like put in the backlog and consider, but maybe we want to find a simpler way to do the same action, just not as fully featured.
Yeah, so there is the audience
Oh,
score
audience score.
and the tomatometer.
Oh, and then average rating and user ratings. Oh, that's a user rating count.
Yeah, maybe it's for the V2.
Add your rating.
So,
Yeah.
or version 3.
Ooh, that's fun.
That's nice, yeah.
Okay, so
But
why
yeah,
not?
thanks, Kevin, for the suggestion. It's a good way to also explore like websites. Because you see like
Exactly.
this design pattern is actually very interesting,
Yeah.
very dynamic.
And like this also shows that design is not a linear process.
Yeah.
It's something I touched on in day one, but the process kind of looks like, oh, I have an idea, I know what I'm gonna do, and then you like go out and explore these different things, and then you find out like, oh, actually there's a constraint here, there's a block here, like I actually can't do this, or this is something that's not gonna work given the context, and so you have to come back, retrace your steps, and then explore more directions, and eventually you'll get there, but it's a process. Okay, so here's what we have. I think let's just consider that this is globehopper staff's rating for now. Maybe we want to tell the users that, so we could do something like add a little info button,
good
or
idea.
like, what is this rating, or like,
and
how
when
do
you
you
hover,
rate
it
this?
tells you that.
And then it
we
shows
have a
a
team of
tooltip.
experts.
Yeah. So maybe that's like V1, and then we can consider like once users actually start using the product and give
They
you
can
feedback,
contribute, yeah.
they can contribute the feedback. So let's try that and see what that would look like. So I'm gonna
And
draw
we
a
have
little
RGB
circle.
Brazil Comunicação saying, oh, maybe we can rank the countries with the best beers. Yeah, that could be also like a cool page, or it could be a blog article. Like you can, like if you don't have time to implement it in the website, it could be also cool content, that you share on social. You just create an article and say, hey, this is the top 10 we have after 1 year of existence. Yeah, it's a good idea. Because you need also to consider the content strategy and how you will promote the website.
Right.
So this is typically the type of content that can work. Top 10, top countries. Yeah.
And it's easy to digest too, right? Like people
Yes.
don't have the longest of attention span, so top
True.
10, making that list, I think is a good way to go about it. Okay.
And you have about 10 minutes to submit your portfolio. Make sure if you want your portfolio, it has to do with UX, UI design, of course, and to be reviewed by Christine and myself. So 10 minutes, check the portfolio reviews tab on behance.net/live.
Okay, so I'm just taking the tooltip that we used on the country hover and gonna reuse it here.
Oh, nice.
Maybe it doesn't need to be like screaming yellow because it's more of like a secondary information kind of thing. So let's try.
Maybe you can keep the dark UI. Yeah.
Yeah, I like that one.
Yeah.
And we can say this rating. Oops, you can't actually see that. This rating is reflective of the globehopper team's reviews? Question mark. Obviously, you don't want to actually say that, but I actually like to work really closely with what I call word designers. So people who are really good at copy and conveying message. It's usually like marketing professionals or people who have a lot of experience with customers, like in customer success. so they know what language the customer uses. So I like to double check with them. So I think I'll leave that task to review with them there. But for now, we can just use this as a placeholder to see what it would look like. So let's make this span here, and then I'm just gonna make the tip pop out from this side.
Oh, okay.
So do something like that and get rid of these guys. Oops.
Good job.
So that's what it could look like. Obviously, it would need some more pixel cleanup, but let's just hook it up and see what it would look like. Okay. So I like to design the happy path, which I was talking about with Talon yesterday. Like it was
Happy path, yeah. I'm familiar with this concept.
I like to see everything mapped out in one straight line to see how users might interact with it. So I'm just gonna bump that artboard in here so we can see it in context rather than Okay. And then we don't need that there because this is a hover state. So let's go to the prototype, hook up the little eye. This eye actually might be too small too, so that's something to keep an eye out for in the prototype as well. So hover, and then you get that state. So let's see what that would look like. We're in Peru. Oops, do we not add it to Peru? Where do we add it?
I don't know.
Oh.
It's isolated.
It's because...
you changed the beer, no?
Yeah. So on Peru, we're going to the country page now. So if we click on the beer at the bottom, which we didn't hook up.
I see.
Let's do that. Let's pretend this is Cusqueña Dorada. Obviously, you would need to go back in and clean this up as well. And then it goes here. Okay, let's try it again. So we're in Peru. Go to Cusqueña Dorada. We're here. If you hover over the eye, you see the little helpful tip. So this is like another good thing about doing the interactive prototyping is you see where the flows are missing, and then you think of the states that you also need to account for. So like before, when we changed up how we're presenting the information, like showing the country information first before diving into the beer details page, then you have to consider like how is everything going to flow together.
Okay.
So that way the engineers don't come back to you and they're like, wait, did you think about this? Wait, did you think about that? And like you have those conversations too late in the game. It's easier to just hammer everything out here.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
And someone, I think it was Vitor, saying maybe you can do a flow where you can match a beer with another one, you know, like a flow of beer tasting. So yeah, maybe I would say that if you have to talk about pairing, it could be with food. I mean, that's what we would do with wine. With beer, again, this could be part of the content strategy, Vitor. Like you could have one of the experts of globehopper telling you, hey, let me tell you how Cusqueña Dorada works well with sea bass, you know, and explain why, you know. I think it could be very good content, and then you want to know more about the beer, and you put a call to action so people can visit globehopper. This is typically a type of experience where you need to have content. Like you need to have blog articles every 2 days talking about beer. Like you need content for social that will drive viewers to globehopper and also build your reputation. And say, okay, they are legit. Like they know what they're talking about.
Yeah, and Kerwin actually had a really good suggestion of having like sister beers, like you have sister cities, and that's kind of related to the content strategy as well, right?
That's a very good idea. Like this IPA from Saul has the same flavors or technique as this one produced in Lima. That's really very creative.
Good idea.
We should launch a startup all together.
Jan had a good idea too, Thor. You create an app for the aftermath of traveling from bar
Yeah,
to
no,
bar.
no.
calling
Don't read the
Global
generic
hoppers.
comments. No, forget it.
Amazing. Yeah, that
This
is true.
A beer for
Tim.
the, yeah.
So that could be its own section. If we did want to consider adding a sister beer, we could add another section to the beer detail page that says, oh, like if you like pale lagers, or if you like, I don't know, this type of flavor profile, consider checking out these 3 beers that might be related. Or if you're going off like the sister cities concept, where it's more like these beers or these breweries have a connection with each other, you can put like recommended or related breweries down here as well.
And I can imagine that because the entry point of this website is a map, this could also speak to like so many content. Like if you want to produce infographics for social, like if you want to express like sister beers, like just from a design standpoint, it's so easy to leverage this map.
Yeah.
And then you visit the website and you find the map again.
Yeah.
I think
That's
can be
true.
very powerful. Like a top 10, I will show it on the map. Well, I would show like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If I have to do a blog article.
That's actually a good idea to do in the interactive view too. Like maybe you
Yeah.
have different views. Like you want to
Exactly.
see the top 10 beers. There's a link for that, and then it'll
Yeah.
render you into that view.
And then you
Or
have
like-
dots and you hover and you have the information.
Yeah.
And then you can jump to the page to get the details.
Yeah. Huh. So actually, let's try that and see what it would look
Yeah,
like. So I'm
cool.
gonna go into Adobe Stock again because I want like that location vector. You know what I'm talking about?
The pin map.
Yeah, this
Yeah,
thingy.
there we go. Yeah.
We'll just license and open in AI. Download. Oops. Oh.
Oh yeah. Maybe this is something we can quickly create in XD too. Doesn't seem too complex.
Oh yeah, that's true.
No?
Okay.
Like 2 circles.
Oops.
Or let's start with 1 circle and try to add a
Little tip.
and destroy the handles. Here we go. And
And then add another circle.
and then another one and using the Pathfinder it should do the
Center
trick.
it.
And the Pathfinder,
Where
it's
is the
on the right.
Pathfinder?
It's here, extrude.
Oh,
And
there you go.
so what is very powerful with the XD and the Pathfinder is that at any time I can double click and actually
Oh.
it's still working. So it's non-destructive. And we just remove the border here. Here we go.
Sweet. And then we'll use one of our color palettes colors.
And 1 minute left to submit your portfolio. This is becoming intense, and we start reviewing the portfolios and travel to space. Oh, it will be your first space travel.
Space travel.
Are you not aware of what's
No,
going?
what do we do?
Okay, you will see.
I know we're reviewing portfolios
Yeah, but in space.
in space.
Yeah.
Huh.
Not sure why. You have to ask Oddfellows, which is the agency. They designed the experience, and they woke up one morning and say, "Hey, let's do it in a spaceship."
Interesting.
You will see. You will see.
Okay. Okay, so obviously, like, there's no rhyme or reason to this. I'm just putting out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Let's give one here. 9, 10. So here's like 10 different countries with the best beer in the world. That's what this view could look like. And then, like, if we wanted to show maybe sister breweries, we could use something similar. Let me just label this top 10 beers. Or top 10, yeah, top 10 beers from country. No, top 10 beers.
From
Good
countries
enough
on
for now.
Earth.
Something like
Yeah,
this.
yeah.
And then let's try. Oops. I should have saved a default one, but that's okay. Top sister breweries. Like maybe if you click on one, like let's say I click on one in San Francisco. That's not San Francisco, it's probably like Oregon. then you'll see like, oh, they have a similar one in Brazil and Australia. But maybe it's like when you hover over the country as well. So like if you hover over the
Ooh, look at
country,
that.
then you see like, oh, there's a brewery here, and they also have sister breweries here. And then you can like click in to see more details, so we can leverage that
Nice.
tooltip component again and see what that would look like. So this is like a super fast way to just get that high level information before you dig in further to any of these detailed views.
Yeah, could be
Yeah.
a fun entry. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Are you ready to review some portfolios?
Let's do it.
Because I think it's time. So yeah, see you in space. Okay. Okay, and we are in the Behance spaceship. I think, yeah, there is oxygen. Okay. That's okay. You can remove the helmet. That was fast, huh?
Yeah. Oh, look, it's even
Yeah,
from
it's
the
Team USA.
US.
Team USA. Okay, so this is the dashboard. Let me check what's going on. Okay. Okay, that's good. We are in because I had to set the autopilot.
It's a self-driving spaceship.
Yeah, now it's a self-driving, so we have time to review the portfolio. And let's zoom in and discover the portfolio of Rick. Rick Bossenbroek, who is from the Netherlands.
Nice.
And yeah, he looks very handsome, beautiful, beautiful Rick. Are you in the chat, Rick? Let us know. And what are you doing? Network, so he's part of a school, I can see. Work experience, internship. So I guess, yeah, he's a pretty junior, which is great. So the first question I ask Christine is there anything that is catching your eye and you would like to check, like if you look at this page?
Yeah, so I see like you have a variety of projects.
Yes, very good point.
Just an overview, like I see you have like a mobile app, or you have like a website design.
Yeah,
You
or,
also have like,
photography, I guess.
yeah, and like logos and
Is that you, Rick? He looks like Rick.
yeah, so it tells me like you're a pretty like well-rounded designer and you have a lot of different interests, which is good.
And maybe Rick is a student or graphic and interactive design. Okay. So this is something that I see all the time. Is when you're a design student, like you want to showcase everything. You know, even if you do like one project of motion design, but you don't want to become a motion designer, you just feature it on your portfolio to show that you can do it a bit of everything, which can be a strategy, you know, to get an internship or a job in an agency. Also, Rick, if you know that you want to become a UI designer, like that's really your passion, then maybe I will remove projects that are not directly connected, such as a photography one, you know, although it's super fun and the concept is very good, but an agency visiting your portfolio will say, okay, like, does he wants to become an editorial designer because he works on layout magazines? Does he want to work in branding and identity because he works on a logo redesign, or on UI? You know, so it can also add confusion. So there are two strategies, but at this stage of your career, I understand why you want to put everything. Hey, Rick, I see you in the chat now. So handsome. So
And
let's
one
check
thing
this
to
one.
consider too is like,
Oh, I know what this is, Rick. I will speak about it.
it's an Adobe contest.
Yeah.
Oh.
And I was part of the jury. So sorry if I didn't select your work. But yeah, we challenge designers to prototype an app about a city, but using icons designed by big designers. So in this case, he used icons designed by my friends Anton and Irene. It's a studio in New York. It's about Amsterdam. Nice use of gradient. Yeah, if you have some feedback about think it's very well presented.
The prototype. Is it interact? Oh, it's interactive.
Yeah, good job, Rick.
Did you do that in XD?
Yeah.
Just curious.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah, it's here, you see?
Oh, there you go.
Made with XD.
Yeah.
Very important. Always reference the tool. So I'm telling that for everyone because some people search by skills. With the Behance engine, I can search project made with XD if I'm looking for XD designer. And then if you reference the tool, you will be displayed, appear in the search results.
Yeah, so this is good because you showed...
Rick. So handsome. Confirm position. Okay.
Yeah, you're like considering all the different states that this app could take, the key screens.
That's what you were explaining, that for developers it's very important to show everything.
And then earlier you had like the style sheet, so you're considering like, oh, how would I hand this off to a developer, or like what is the system I'm using?
Look at that.
Is that a screenshot?
Yeah, it's a screenshot of the flow. It's a very good idea.
Yeah.
I really like it.
I think
It's
one
good.
thing
Yeah.
to
I really like the
consider is using the projects as a way to tell the story of how you came about to those decisions. So this is a really great start. I think if I were looking
here,
at it,
look.
yeah,
That's
like
what it
include
is
your
for.
sketches.
So the sketch, so you show your process, the wireframing.
Yeah, the wireframing.
Made with XD2, good job. And the final UI design. Mm-hmm. Yeah, which is for a pizzeria, so you need to add some fun, some spice. I think it works very well, actually. I think what you did works very well for a pizzeria.
Yeah.
Rick, you're everywhere. Eating pizza, visiting cities. It's crazy. Yeah, very, very nice. Good call to action. We were talking about ratings.
Salami.
Salami. Yeah.
Nice.
This is nice. I'm not sure it's adding something because you see we are all, both of us are like, I think it works very well here.
Yeah.
For a cover, very good idea. In the project, not sure. I would prefer to see the screens maybe lay out vertically so I can just scroll down and enjoy all the pages.
Yep. And I think another thing to consider too is like maybe including a couple key things about your learnings or maybe some challenges you ran into and how you compensated and solved for that would be interesting to include here. Like, were there certain screens that you explored but didn't work out, or were there like any surprises along the way that you want to share? I think it's good to be reflective of the journey and how you got to the final process rather than just showing the final process itself. Yeah, like
This
something
is
like
great.
this. Yeah.
This is great. Yeah, super easy to read. Rick, you really pay attention and take time to do a beautiful layout in Behance, and it really pays off. I think it's fantastic. Also, something to mention, Rick is using Adobe Portfolio. I don't know if you know this feature, but if you're a Creative Cloud member, in one click, you can activate an Adobe Portfolio. So what it does is that you choose a template and you create your own website.
Oh, nice.
But when you showcase your work, it's directly linked to Behance. So if Rick updates the project on Behance or adds a new project, it will update the website.
Can we see what the portfolio page looks like?
Yeah, so if you go on Portfolio, so you have different templates and themes, and you recognize actually the cover and here, and you can customize the CSS. I mean, you can be more creative, but
Nice.
basically it's your identity. He added his logo, I guess. Yeah, I recognize the R here. And there is a contact form. You can also create static pages. So I can directly contact him. Yeah, very, very good job.
That's awesome. This is really well done. It's super clean and easy to...
But all these projects are automatically populated in Adobe Portfolio. So if you have a Behance portfolio and you are a Creative Cloud member, it's part of your subscription. So you should check that. Great. So Rick, very promising. Let me follow you. And
appreciate the projects.
Yeah, I like this one. Good job. And we have a second portfolio actually by Natalie. Natalie, she lives in Ukraine. Okay, let's see if we have some information. She's a young, passionate web designer, and she works in Ukraine. Ukraine, which is booming. Like I see more and more fantastic projects made by designers in Ukraine. We had a few weeks ago actually a UX designer, Daniel Musa, who is from Ukraine, but he lives in LA. Yeah. So feedback, like when you look at a portfolio like this, let's say you want to hire a designer for your agency.
Yep. So one
What do
thing
you
that
think?
I always look for is what you just did is I look at your title and then like the about me to see what you're interested in working on.
Okay.
And it's good to see that all of your projects here are related to web design. I'm just looking at the little subtitles and
Very
it all says
consistent.
web design. So yeah, it's a good thing to see that it's consistent.
Is there anyone that is catching your eye you want to
The
know more?
RoboGo seems interesting.
Okay, RoboGo.
Yeah.
Yeah, very
Future has
colorful.
arrived.
Oh my god, it looks great. What is this? It's an autonomous commercial delivery. Oh, okay.
Huh.
So using the Ubuntu typeface.
Nice. So it's a self-driving vehicle with remote control.
Okay. Powered with extra. Oh my god, look, it's so cute.
Are there different sizes?
Yeah. The Kitty, the Mini, and the Maxi.
Huh.
And you can compare the vehicles. Okay, good job.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh, using XD too. Wow,
Nice.
good job.
That's super cool. One thing that I would say is if you are a web designer, and I don't know if these are like side projects that you did for fun, but I like to look for links to the real site. So I don't know if there is a robogo.com so you can see it in action.
Yeah, like visit the website at the end as a call
Yeah.
to action. Yeah, it's a good point. Let's write this one, which looks like a legit website too, associate. So it's more corporate. Yeah, to build a trust, to display the brands. I mean, these are very good tricks. Wireframing
Nice.
in XD, I recognize the template actually. Oh, and all the states for the buttons. Interesting.
Nice.
Yeah, it's also like very alive, you know, like using this perspective here. So is it one piece? Ah, yeah, it's one piece.
gotcha.
Okay, I see what you did. I like to split, you know, because sometimes if I want to go full screen, then I'm stuck. But if you split, then I like to navigate with the arrow keys, you know. So you can create like one big image, but it's better if you, can split by sections, in my opinion.
Yeah, and you've already like numbered the section, so it's pretty easy to understand where it would split.
Okay, and you have a lot of projects. So let me see something. Okay.
So I actually like this because it's super simple.
Yeah.
Like you know exactly what you're getting. The other one, it was good in that it was visually interesting, but it almost felt at times there was too much going on. And especially as a web designer, you want to be focusing on the pages that you're designing rather than adding like extra elements around it, if that makes sense.
Yep.
So I really like the simplicity of that last one, the launch go.
And also like something that's good to share for all our friends watching. A portfolio is not the history, like it's not like the book of all your projects, okay, since the beginning of the days. So if at some point you feel that, okay, this project is actually I was not mature enough, or the quality was not there, or I'm not very proud of this one, you don't have to feature it on your portfolio. So don't hesitate, like when you're in Behance, so you can of course hide a project. You can also reorder projects.
Oh, you can?
Yeah, you can.
Oh, I didn't know
I
that.
think. Let me double check. Yeah, you can, you see?
Oh, nice.
So it's nice also to try things such as, oh, you know what, like for 3 weeks, I want to feature this work, because you know how it works, like there are a lot of chances that people will start reviewing like these two.
Right,
You know,
yeah.
you-
Because you think it's the most recent.
Yeah, because you think it's the most
Yeah.
recent. So you can trick them. So if there is one that you prefer, even if it was like 1 or 2 years ago, put it in the first position.
Yeah.
I don't have the statistics. I could ask the Behance team. It would be interesting to have a map, you know, like where people click. But I'm pretty sure that the big majority, they start opening the first one.
Yeah. And like when you're curating your portfolio and considering which projects to include, it's not only like the ones that you are most proud of because it's the best design work that you've done, but it's also the ones that have a good story behind them.
That's a good point.
Like when you go to interviews or you're looking for new freelance clients, they're always going to ask you to talk about your like work, like choose a project on your portfolio that we can dig into, or choose
behind the scenes, like
exactly.
what happened. They also want to know how do you, let's say I open this, like if I have to interview Natalie, I would ask her, okay, so how did you work with them?
Yeah.
You know, like did they came like with a visual identity? How did you do the design reviews with them? What were the feedback? You know, it's also like, so one part is execution, like how do you design, how do you find solutions, you know, to their problems, but also how do you engage with these customers? You know, the level of conversation, were you in the loop, or maybe there was someone in charge of the relationship with the customer. So that's, the more you can tell about the behind the scenes story, I think it will add a lot of value.
And that's one thing that I like to include in like the case studies that I do is clearly say, this is a problem we're trying to solve. This is a team that I worked with. I think in Behance you can also add team members, right?
Yes.
And then say like, within this team that I worked on, this was my role. So you know exactly how you contributed to that project. And then you can go in and tell the story.
Yeah, he's part of a team here.
Nice.
Rick, I guess they are 46, so maybe they are design students, you know, or friends at the design school. Not sure, but I mean, that's,
Yeah.
But Natalie, I think it's a very strong portfolio. A lot of projects. I think it's very good. So if you enjoy the portfolio, so people watching, make sure to follow Natalie, leave some appreciations, you know, so we start also building our Adobe Live community all together. But I think it looks great.
Yeah. It's cool too because you have like different visual styles for each of these websites, so it shows that you're flexible and can adapt to whatever brands different companies might have.
And I really like the introduction, like I'm a young, like patient designer. I think adding some emotion also in your description is super important. And let me just show some cats because
it's called Shitty Kitty. That's amazing.
Shitty Kitty. Okay. It's a leader. Cat leader.
That's
Makes
really
sense.
funny.
So it's good branding actually. He's so desperate. It's like, oh my god, you smell so bad. What can I do? Hey, buy Shitty Kitty. Awesome. Okay,
amazing.
So what time is it? Okay, maybe we can recap what you did because we just have a few minutes with Christine. Here we go. But thanks for sharing your portfolios. We will do more portfolio reviews today, so keep sharing, submitting your link for the next show. We will be live in about 12 minutes with Rovan, and Paul Trenny will be back too.
Okay, so
let's review what you created over the 3 days. Globehopper.
That's a good question or thing to do, but we just messed it up because we added this
everything.
new screen. So once again, my design files are always a hot mess. So I'll go back in and clean it up, and then I'll publish it to Behance so you guys can play around with it too.
Thank you.
But ideally, we have a map view. You can click into a country and see, oops, this is like all hooked up wrong. So let's go back. I think Peru is hooked up correctly.
Yeah.
So, no, that's Argentina. We want Peru.
There we go.
So you get the country detail view with some handy phrases, tips about the drinking etiquette, local tips, and some previews of the most popular beers. And clicking into the beers will give you more details about like what style it is, what the ABV is, IBU if there is one. And today what we did is we added a little rating system that is defined by the globehopper team. And then another thing, if I wanted to go back and edit, I also would make Peru clickable so I can click into it to get back to the country detail view. But I didn't do that, so let's just thumb through again. And then the other thing we did is we added these to share your tip entry points. So if users wanted to come in and share their tips, there's a flow for that. So here's a little text box where you can enter in your tips and share it. There's a little confirmation screen saying
Super
thank
clean.
you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Super engaging. Yeah, I think it works very well.
Yeah.
That's great.
So yeah, thank you for all your suggestions and feedback. I think what I'll actually do is I might try to code this up and see.
Really?
Yeah.
You do some coding too?
I do for fun. So
For fun.
for funsies. I also make slight like CSS tweaks at work, but that doesn't count as coding. So
Ah,
yeah.
it's scripting, at least. Yeah. It's the first step, first stage to coding. Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, and so you will create a Behance project also, maybe to
Yeah.
recap everything. Yeah, it would be awesome.
So right now there already is one. I said it was work in progress, but the prototype is embedded in there.
Oh, okay.
I think what I'll do next is I'll just add some copy and
Yeah.
storytelling, like what we were trying to do, what actually happened, where we ended up pivoting, and
You can even
Kind
embed
of.
the videos if they want to.
oh yeah,
Yeah, you could do that so
that's
they can
true.
watch you working
You can
live.
embed everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah, that's awesome. And also, if you want to directly talk and engage with the Adobe XD team, so you use Adobe XD for 3 days, you did
Yeah.
an amazing job. But we have a new weekly show, so it's every Fridays
Oh yeah.
with Tallinn usually.
Yeah.
Although tomorrow it will be someone. There is a surprise tomorrow. But it's every Friday. It's at 12 p.m. Pacific time.
Gotcha.
On Behance. So if you check on behance.net/live, there is a schedule and you will see the show is Designing in Adobe XD, that's the name. But the goal is really to interact with them. Sometimes they sneak new features, they talk about new features and how Adobe XD is designing and built. And we'll be back also next week. So next week it's with illustrators.
Yeah.
And some of them, they will work on iPads.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah. So, yeah, we have amazing guests also next week. So, yeah, it should be really fun. But Christine, thanks again. I think you did amazing this week.
Thank
It
you.
was super interactive and engaging. Thanks for everyone watching and being so passionate about beers. I don't know, maybe I should be worried about this community because they are so into beers. But no, I think it was awesome because I like the fact that you added also some country culture, and say that enjoying a beer is more than just a drink. Yeah.
Yeah, and thank you everyone for your tips because that was super helpful in
Yeah, they were good.
validating some of these ideas and like pivoting where we needed to. So thank you for being such a great audience.
They were super creative and no, I feel so pumped up.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, let's do it. Let's create a startup and yeah, let's release globehopper. So I think it's great. Let me check the time. Yeah, it's almost time to say goodbye, Christy.
Well,
I
it's been
think it's
great being
time.
here. Thank you for
Yeah.
having me.
You enjoyed working live?
It was a little stressful. I'm usually like the person who likes to just sit down and
yeah.
focus and like
Put
go
some
through
music
all my
on and-
things. Yeah, and then I'll go back to a developer and be like, "Does this look okay?" And then if it is, I keep on working. But it was actually super good to work live because then you
Okay.
guys can participate and
Yeah,
get
they are
real-time
awesome.
feedback. So, yeah, and I learned lots of new tricks today.
Yeah.
So-
Yeah, let me know how it goes if you
Yeah.
use it at work. Yeah, if you watch a replay, we use the Creative Cloud libraries,
Yeah.
shared everything
Mind blown.
with Illustrator and how to export also multiple assets in one click.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it was really fun. I really had a great time. Thank you, Christine. And hopefully we'll see you back on Adobe Live
Yeah,
anytime. Yeah,
sounds
for another project. We have to find another concept.
It'll be wine hopper. No, I don't know.
One hopper, yeah. I can help on this. I can help. I can give you a lot of direction. Okay, thanks everyone for watching. You were awesome. Keep sharing your portfolios. We'll be back in about 5 minutes with Rovan and Paul on behance.net/live.